Hello everyone and welcome back to the world's best investing podcast. Today I'm going to explain the concept of Singularity Scalers, which are companies like Palantir, in my view, that promise to increase free cash flow per share levels exponentially in tandem with the evolution of AI models without having to invest additional money. So these are companies that I believe are going to print much more free cash flow per share simply as AI models continue to improve, which per the latest remarks from Jensen, Nvidia CEO, last night in the GTC conference, I think this process is going to accelerate a lot. A lot of people are thinking, well, these stocks are up big time, so therefore they must fall. But actually, if you look at the fundamentals, how AI is improving, how it's making companies make more money, I think that we're just at the beginning of a revolution that is going to create tremendous wealth. Of course, I also expect this dynamic to deliver great returns for Nvidia and AMD shareholders over the long term, and I'm going to be discussing this too. By the way, I realize that many of you have just come across my work for the first time on YouTube, and you should know that I'm only really getting started with making videos. Most of my work is in written form, available for free on Substack and on X. So if you want to learn more about my track record and the work that I've been doing over the past 5 years publicly, I recommend that you go and check out my X profile and my Substack profile, which I'll link to in my YouTube profile. Now let's get started. There's a breed of companies that are positioned to grow their earning power exponentially and at a marginal cost in tandem with the evolution of AI models. These companies have proprietary datasets, which enable them to create AI models that others can't. The value created by these datasets is growing exponentially as AI continues to improve, with marginal investments on behalf of these companies. In turn, this is driving margin expansion and enhanced free cash flow generation. I basically think these companies are going to do really well over the coming 5 years in normal kinds of circumstances, and I call these companies Singularity Scalers. The best example of a Singularity Scaler, in my view right now, is Palantir. They provide the necessary infrastructure required for companies to harness their proprietary data moats. This infrastructure is getting easier to deploy and operate as AI models get better, which has increased margins and cash from operations noticeably over the past 2 years, as you can see in the graph on the screen now. As AI models continue to get better, margins will likely continue to rise speedily, driving stock prices up further. The thing is that as agentic and physical AI models come along, Palantir's platform will likely become exponentially more valuable without Palantir having to do many other things additionally. When Palantir plugs these models into their platform, it will suddenly become an AI worker factory without major additional investments. Similarly, Duolingo, which I covered last week, will become an AI teacher factory, thus becoming much more valuable than it is today. This leap will enable both companies and other Singularity Scalers to compound their proprietary data moats at an even faster pace, making them harder to replicate over time. The key component of a Singularity Scaler is the ability to create an impenetrable proprietary data moat, which is usually the result of world-class process power. By focusing intensely on a single task for a long time, these companies basically end up creating a platform with no competition. The platform then yields unique data, which can then be used to train AI models that no one else has. Indeed, the value isn't in the AI models themselves, but in the underlying infrastructure that enables the continuous deployment and creation of new models that outperform, even if for a short period of time in the market. Investor sentiment is on shaky ground because AI fundamentals are advancing exponentially. Humans can only think in linear terms, which makes the current landscape eerie for the average investor. It's scary and it doesn't feel real for many, even for me at times. However, in yesterday's GTC conference, Jensen Huang revealed that AI scaling laws continue to accelerate dramatically. Notably, reasoning workloads are driving a 100x higher demand for compute than Nvidia estimated this time last year. This means that Singularity Scalers are about to take off big time. Jensen's remarks about this during the GTC conference were fascinating to listen to. Here's what he said.
How do you solve the data problem? The second is how do you solve the training problem without human in the loop? The reason why human in the loop is fundamentally challenging is because we only have so much time, and we would like an AI to be able to learn at superhuman rates, at super real-time rates, and to be able to learn at a scale that no humans can keep up with. And so the second question is, how do you train the model? And the third is, how do you scale? How do you how do you find an algorithm whereby the more resource you provide, whatever the resource is, the smarter the AI becomes? The scaling law. Well, this last year, this is where almost the entire world got it wrong. The computation requirement, the scaling law of AI is more resilient and, in fact, hyper-accelerated. The amount of computation we need at this point as a result of agentic AI, as a result of reasoning, is easily 100 times more than we thought we needed this time last year. And let's reason about why that's true.
On a first principles basis, the difference between 1999 and today is that AI models are directly accretive to free cash flow production. An in-depth analysis of Meta and Amazon, for example, which you can find in my videos for free on my YouTube and Spotify channels from last week, for example, reveals that AI models are enabling these companies to make more money in an increasingly defensible manner as the AI models get better and more capable. I term this relationship the intelligence yield, and so long as it holds, I believe Singularity Scalers will continue to deliver exponential returns over the long term. The intelligence yield is perpendicular to the economy, geopolitical factors, and other variables that are shaking the stock market over the past month. AI models continue to improve regardless of tariffs and wars, expanding margins and driving higher free cash flow production for Singularity Scalers. While in my view these companies will enhance their earning power fastest, I also believe the broader economy will benefit tremendously over time. Ultimately, the intelligence yield is set to increase the amount of value the economy creates per unit of input worldwide. The intelligence yield is also driving rapid growth for chip companies like Nvidia and AMD. Companies make more money as they buy and deploy more chips, with the new AI workloads requiring exponentially more compute power. Most notably, AMD is down over 50% in the past year, although data center revenues continue to grow exponentially. As I explained in my latest AMD update, AMD has a highly differentiated roadmap that the market currently fails to understand, and I expect AMD to evolve into an Nvidia-like success in the coming years. However, this sort of technological dynamic is particularly prone to bubbles. This is why I approach tech investments with great emphasis on asymmetry. I like to buy companies that are set to increase their value considerably if AI evolves modestly or not at all. I like to buy companies that are set to do very well regardless of AI. If that condition holds, then the intelligence yield merely presents additional upside and not a necessary condition for the thesis to be profitable in the first place. This was Palantir at $7 and Spotify at $97.50 for me, although notice that most people believed these two companies were way too expensive back at those levels. For example, back in 2022, Spotify was set to become much more valuable by deploying audio verticals beyond music, thus increasing average revenue per user and ultimately free cash flow per share non-linearly. Its lead in the audio space has now granted Spotify the proprietary dataset to solve problems that both creators and fans share, which I believe is most likely to exponentiate the company's value over the coming 5 years. I think they're going to do that by leveraging AI, so I think Spotify is going to be somewhat of a singularity scaler, but if AI doesn't work out, I've still made 6 times my money by now. The perception of asymmetry is non-transferable. You have to develop your own understanding of a business, which usually comes from dedicating a lot of time to studying fundamentals. For an investment to be asymmetric, the market must disagree with your thesis by definition. Therefore, you need to have a different and superior interpretation of widely available data. Further, in order to then make money, you need to hold your conviction firmly over years while the market figures things out and sends your stock down 50 and 60% for no reason repeatedly. Therefore, although the idea of singularity compounders presents great upside for investors, the risk of over-enthusiasm is palpable. The best way to capitalize on this concept is by spotting an extraordinary business that is disdained by the market, that the market absolutely hates, that is also highly likely to accelerate its value creation process exponentially in tandem with the progress of AI at a marginal cost, so without having to make huge investments along the way. While it's tempting to chase hot stocks, pursuing your own learning journey patiently will ultimately reveal clear opportunities that others won't be able to see. This individuated approach has led me to investing into Palantir and Spotify early, positioning me to further reap the benefits of the AI revolution with great margin of safety. I didn't chase Peloton back in 2021 or any other of those kind of companies. I focused on my own journey, and I recommend that you do the same. This doesn't mean that Spotify and Palantir aren't opportunities today, but the point is that this is non-transferable. You have to do the work and figure it out on your own. It's taken me a decade of intense work to get good at spotting extraordinary companies early when the market says they actually suck, but you can get a head start by taking my course. In under 2 hours, I teach you everything I know in an elegant and powerful mental model that over 400 students have happily integrated to date. You have a 14-day money-back, no questions asked guarantee, so if you don't like it, all you have to do is send me an email and I'll give you a refund straight away. And the reason that I can teach this in just under 2 hours is that I put literally hundreds of hours into creating this product that allows me to condense everything that I've learned into a model based on first principles. So when you learn the model on a first principles basis, then there's no limit to the amount of scenarios, specific scenarios in which you can use it. You don't need to learn every single use case, but you walk away with the first principles understanding, and there's just no limit to what you can do with it. And you can actually see the reviews of my customers, how much they love the course, how much it's changed the way in which they look at companies, and how it's enabled them to really understand how value is created in the modern economy. So anyways, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, if you enjoyed this video, can you please share this with one friend? These deep dives are for free, and so the only way this grows is with your help. Remember that none of this is financial advice. You should be doing your own research, and I do encourage you to get started with that as soon as possible. Write your own deep dives, share your thoughts with the world. I guarantee you it's only going to make you smarter, and it might actually connect you with some very interesting people, as has been my case. So thank you guys. See you next time. Take care.